Hey, what's going on, guys? Kevin the Tech Ninja here. And today I'm reviewing a TV that I purchased for myself. Now, I've reviewed TVs in the past, and typically they're loaners where I use them for a little bit and then send them back. But I finally wanted to get the best possible TV for my budget that I was looking at, and I decided to go with the LG B8. This is an OLED TV, 65 inches, and it was a really good deal after Super Bowl. I got it for $1,800, and I'll leave a link down below as far as where I got it, but that pricing might change. Now, typically this TV is around $2,500, so I really had to hop on that deal as soon as it came up. So enough of me blabbing about this, let's get into the review. Hey guys, before I get into the video, I am hosting a giveaway and survey sponsored by Facebook. Click the link in the description below to take the survey. Everyone who completes it and enters their email address has an opportunity to win a $250 Visa gift card. It is super quick and easy to do, so make sure you check out the link down below. So LG's lineup for TV is pretty weird. We have the C8, the B8, and the E8. And the main difference between all these TVs are the processor or the actual soundbar that it has. The screen, the OS, and most of the design is pretty much the same. The C8 has the A9 processor and the B8 has the A7 processor. Since my newest TV in the house is around 2 years old, I really didn't think the processor is a really big deal, and because I use a box like the NVIDIA Shield for most of my content, so processor to me wasn't a selling point at all. So OLED technology is very expensive, so that's why this TV and a lot of other high-end LGs and even some of the Sonys are way more expensive than a standard TV. If your budget is around $1,000, that is a healthy budget, and you can get some really good TVs. The one I like for $1,000 is the TCL 6 Series TV. And for most people, that's all they need, and they won't even benefit from an OLED TV or even know the difference. But if you want to push the limits and get the best possible quality TV, OLED is your best bet. You just need to pay around 2 times the price for that. The B8 is just a beautiful TV. It's extremely minimal and it just screams tech. So much stuff is in the TV, and yet it's extremely skinny. There is less than 1/2 inch of black frame around the picture, and the TV is so thin, it's actually thinner than my iPhone. Down towards the bottom, it juts out just another 1.75 inches, and that's where the inputs, power supply, speakers, and other TV things go. At the bottom, you have the stand, which gives it this floating look. Now, I do plan on wall mounting this really soon, but as far as stands, this looks really good. Now on the stand, it does have the LG logo on there in sort of this brush aluminum color, which once again looks good. LG has their own OS, and it's called WebOS. And this interface is one of the best that I've seen. It's super quick, but it does leave a lot to be desired. A few things I noticed is that the app selection is far behind Roku or any other Android device for those reasons. Now, if I do compare it to Samsung's Tizen, I would say this OS is a lot better than that as far as the fluidity, but Samsung still has more apps, and also the home automation portion is much more in-depth than LG's. LG uses a ThinkQ platform, which will allow you to talk to your appliances or any ThinkQ stuff you have in your house. However, I don't have anything ThinkQ, so I really couldn't take advantage of it, whereas Samsung supports SmartThings and I use SmartThings in my house. The remote acts as if it's an air mouse, sort of like a Wiimote. At first, I wasn't a fan of it, and I sort of just stuck to the D-pad and the scroll wheel, but after a few days, I got used to it. The scroll wheel feels really good, and clicking the middle button to make a selection, once again, took a bit of time for an adjustment, but now it's second nature. I still switch to the D-pad for typing in words and doing searches, but speaking of searches, this leads us to the voice features. You can use the voice remote for doing very simple voice searches or even using Google Home. So for smart home stuff, you can say turn off the lights, turn on the lights, ask the weather in certain locations, and you can do several actions on the TV. You can do things like change the HDMI port, search YouTube for a specific creator like Tech Infusion or Kevin the Tech Ninja, or search Netflix for Luke Cage. Now, the remote does act as a universal remote for what's plugged into the CEC port on the back, although it does have limited functionality. So for example, it does work on the Fire Stick, but it did not work on my Shield 100% of the way. It was D-pad only, and some of the buttons that I normally use on the Shield were missing on the remote. I couldn't do certain things. I didn't have my hotkey for search. Overall, I do like the remote. I think it does its job, but I just wish it was a bit more compatible and I wish it auto detect things a lot better like Samsung. In settings, you have picture adjustments and you have tons of settings to go through, and I won't bore you with that stuff, but the settings are good enough for you to find the right picture you're looking for and make custom settings just depending on which input it is. So now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this video, the screen quality and the experience while watching TV. I think for movies, it's outstanding. The picture is great, especially in darker rooms due to the black levels. The image is crisp, and I think it looks better than in the theater due to that. And this is where your money is going for the OLED. You really are finally seeing what you've paying all this money for, movies. Now, TV shows that are non-4K or even 1080p, I think they scale up pretty well. Now, the black levels don't punch out like they do in movies. You may have a little bit of noise or grain in those black levels, but I still think it looks a lot better than standard TVs. You still get a benefit from the OLED as far as the blacks, but at the same time, it's not great. But once again, you're scaling an image from 720p or 1080p up to this 4K screen. So for gaming on this TV, it's very good. There is a low input mode for gaming, and I think it's really well. So I play games like Apex Legends, I play sports games and all those games that I don't have a problem with, and I think the TV does a great job with handling motion. You don't have that motion blur, and it just looks great, especially in HDR when you put in one of those games. Now for watching sports, there's no shuddering and it handles motion well, so it does great on sports. So it does have a built-in sound bar, which actually sounds pretty good. Still leaves a lot to be desired coming from a home theater setup, but you know, if you're spending this much money on a TV, you probably have a home theater setup, but if you don't, the soundbar is really good, and the soundbar can actually interact with your home theater setup too to be your center channel, which I did not fully test because I was just using the speakers on the TV for this review. So we have to address the elephant in the room. That's all about the burn-ins. You know, people are worried about an image being stuck on their TV and burning into the OLED because that is a potential problem with OLED. Artings did an amazing job talking about burn-ins and how to prevent them. It's nothing I'm worried about, and you really shouldn't either unless you watch static content a lot. So it took them around 8,000 hours of watching something with a static border and a static heading and a static large logo that's bright. It took all those things to occur for over 8,000 hours for them to see this image happen. But if you're watching content that varies, playing games or watching different things on TV, then you're not gonna have that problem as far as burn-in. And there's a couple things in the settings that prevents that too. And so there's like one setting where the pixels move over just a tiny bit and they move back. So what it's doing is making the pixels move a little bit, and that prevents burn-in as well. So the TV is smart enough to prevent this burn-in from happening too. Overall, guys, I think this is the best TV I've ever owned. When you factor in the price, this is the best OLED out. Compared to the C8, you're not getting that much more for your dollar, and I think the B8 is just that sweet compromise as far as performance and price. Still an expensive box, don't get me wrong, but if you have the budget for the best possible TV, you should go with the OLED, go with an LG B8. You'll be extremely happy. I was too. I purchased it myself, and I'm super pumped about it. And I might eventually buy another one when the time comes. Anyways, guys, Kevin the Tech Ninja. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.